Yo, what's up, man? Shout out to everybody, man. Friday, July the 4th, 2025. Uh, welcome to the podcast for Soul. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with anybody who you are discussing the Diddy trial with. Diddy, Puff was acquitted of RICO. Now, one of the predicate offenses under the RICO was the Mann Act, which he was found guilty for. Okay? Being that the RICO got dismissed and he was found guilty under a predicate offense, now we deal with the predicate offense as a standalone charge, meaning its statute of limitations, its sentencing guidelines, and all of that. Now, let me read something to you. When RICO charges are dismissed, but the defendant is still found guilty of the predicate offense, the statute of limitations for those underlying crimes becomes a key factor in determining if they can be prosecuted. So, being that he was found guilty under the Mann Act, the statute of limitations for the Mann Act stand on their own. And the statute of limitations for the Mann Act is 5 years from the date of the offense. Predicate offense statute of limitations. If the RICO charges are dismissed, the statute of limitations specific to the individual predicate offenses applies to those charges. Now, this is the Mann Act, right? Pulled this down off of the United States Department of Justice website. Sections 2421 to 2423, and that's what he's charged with. If you go to page 10 in the indictment, he's charged with 2421 and 2422. 2421 and 2422. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18 United States Code Section 2421, 2422, and 2 relating to the transportation and inducement to travel for purposes of prosecution and other illegal sex activities. Okay? So, this was one of the predicate offenses that he was found guilty of. Sections 2421 to 2423 of the Mann Act set forth several offenses, including the offense of knowingly transporting any individual, male or female, in interstate or foreign commerce or in any territory or possession of the United States for the purpose of prosecution or sexual activity, which is a criminal offense under the federal or state statute or local ordinance. Coercion and enticement. This is the 2422, right? He's charged with that under his indictment. Good morning. Section 2422A of Title 18 prohibits anyone from knowingly persuading, inducing, enticing, or coercing any individual to travel in interstate or foreign commerce with the purpose of engaging in prosecution or any criminal sexual activity or attempting to do so, and imposes a maximum punishment of 10 years imprisonment and or fine under Title 18. Now, the statute of limitations The statute of limitations for the Mann Act is 5 years from the date of the offense. Puffy stopped dealing with Cassie in 2017, 2018. They were kind of keeping in touch with each other. I think the last time he hit it, I think was in 2018. So 5 years from 2018. By this time, she's already dealing with her now current husband. I don't know what date they would use to establish the base date to start the clock on the statute of limitations for 5 years, but if it's 2018, 5 years going forward to that is 2023. Puffy was indicted in 2024, arrested. His indictment is filed 9/12/24, right? Now that was when this indictment was filed with the court. I don't know if that's the actual date of the indictment, but if you trace that back, he would have had to gotten involved with Cassie on the Mann Act September 12th, 2019. By that time, she was already married. So what I'm saying, is that the Mann Act charge that Puffy was found guilty of for Cassie, the statute of limitations on that particular case, on her charge, on Cassie Ventura's case, may be done, meaning he may not be able to be sentenced on that. Now, you know, I did the video yesterday. I don't think if they include it or not, it's not gonna matter. There's a 0.1% chance that those charges will be ran consecutively, you know, and there's a 99.999% chance that Cassie's Mann Act and Jane Doe's Mann Act will be ran concurrent, meaning ran together as one charge, and he will be sentenced one time on both of those charges. If a defendant is charged with RICO violations alongside other offenses, and the RICO charges are dismissed or they are acquitted of the RICO charges, but found guilty of other crimes, the legal consequences depend on the specific circumstances of the case. Sentencing based on other convictions. The defendant will still be sentenced for the crimes they were found guilty of, even if the RICO charges were dropped. Reduced sentencing. Dismissal of the RICO charges can significantly reduce the potential prison time the defendant faces, as RICO violations carry severe penalties, including lengthy prison sentences. Then they use Puffy's case as an example. In the case of Sean Combs, he was acquitted of the RICO charges but found guilty of 2 counts of violating the Mann Act. While he avoided a potential life sentence associated with the racketeering charges, he still faces a significant prison sentence for the Mann Act violations. The split verdict demonstrates that being acquitted of RICO charges does not automatically absolve a defendant of consequences for other criminal activity. So, I'm sure Puffy's team is on this. You know, these are the top flight lawyers. I'm sure they're already on this. But it looks like Cassie's Mann Act case is going to be not considered. My speculation, my hypothesis based on the research I've done, I don't know the, you know, detailed technicalities and intricacies of prosecution, but it looks as though he's only going to have one Mann Act charge to be sentenced on. And as I told you, that his maximum time, my opinion, based on the sentencing guidelines table, the base offense level for prosecution is base offense level 14, which carries 15 to 21 months. Right? This is the sentencing guideline table. This has to be used, right? Some of y'all have come in the comment section and says this doesn't matter. You don't know what you're talking about. If you go to federal court and you have to get sentenced, you will be sentenced according to this. Now, he's going to get a 4-level enhancement. He's going to get a 4-level enhancement if he was convicted of, if there was coercion involved, okay? So he'll go from a base offense level of 14 to a base offense level of 18, which is 27 to 33 months. Base offense level 18, okay? 33 months is the maximum that he can get according to the federal sentencing guidelines. 27 months is the minimum he can get based on the federal sentencing guidelines. Now, the Assistant U.S. Attorney, Maureen Comey, she can argue that the judge needs to do an upward departure, meaning go outside of the guideline range and give Puffy 120 months or 10 years, right? Which is the max that he could get. She can say, oh, there were drugs involved, there was violence involved, there was this, he did this. But all of the things that she mentioned in court Wednesday when she was arguing against him getting bail were things that he had already been acquitted of. You can't bring up the distribution of drugs. You can't bring up violence. You can't bring up, what was some of the other, arson. You can't bring up bribery. You can't bring up kidnapping, because he was found not guilty of those things by a jury of his peers. He was acquitted of those charges. So it has to stand alone, your argument that the judge should do an upward departure. Now, Puffy's defense team can then take the floor and argue for a downward departure, meaning they want the judge to go outside of the guideline range to the downside, to go below the 27 months. But he's also going to get 2-point reduction for acceptance of responsibility. So he'll probably come in at base level 16, which is 21 to 27 months. Base offense level 16. You can pull this down off the internet. The sentencing guideline table for federal crimes. So his people can argue, Judge, we want you to do a downward departure and give him less time than what the guidelines state. For reasons being, this is his first offense. This is his first conviction. He has no criminal history. He's been a model prisoner. He's caused no trouble at MDC Brooklyn. He hasn't gotten into any fights. He hasn't been caught with any contraband. He is going to enter the RDAP program. He's going to enter, we've got him entered into a drug treatment program upon his release. He is the sole parent of his 6 kids, or I think 3 or 4 of his children. He is the only parent. He needs to be out with his children, and they can argue for a downward departure. But at the end of the day, no matter what Maureen Comey says, the assistant U.S. attorney, or what Mark Agnifilo says, Puffy's lead lawyer, it is up to the discretion of the judge to decide whether if he is going to do an upward departure or a downward departure, or stay within the guideline range and either give him the low end of the guideline range, which would be 21 months, or the high end of the guideline range, which would be 27 months, or somewhere in the middle. But that's solely up to the discretion of the judge. Me personally, knowing the experience in the federal system, having served time in federal prison, I believe that Puff will, there's zero, my opinion, my speculation, there is zero chance that the judge would do an upward departure and give him more time, go outside of the guideline range to the upside, because there is no substantiation for that. Why would you do that other than it just being personal, right? I could see him going to the downside, doing a downside departure outside the guideline range to the downside for the reasons I just explained to you. Is that he doesn't have any criminal history. This is his first conviction. You know, he was a model prisoner, and he beat and won and was acquitted of the most serious crimes that he was charged, which carried life imprisonment, right? And the other charge, the SEX trafficking, carried 15 years minimum. So he beat those, right? So I believe this is July. So he's got July, August, September, 3 months. So he's already done 9 months. You know, you're gonna do 85% of your time. So 85% of your time. So the high end of the guideline is 27. 27 months times 0.85 equals 23 months, right? If he's given 27 months. He does 85% of his time, 23 months. He's already done 9 minus 9 equals, so he's got 14 months left. He gets involved in the RDAP program, puts in for halfway house. He probably doesn't even go to a federal prison at all. He may just get released straight from MDC. But if he were to go to a federal prison, it would just be to get him processed into the system, get him a registration number, put him on a compound for a month, and then get him up out of there just to go through with the process. But that is where we are. I got more videos coming. Talk to y'all later. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, The Podcast with Soul, and follow me on Spotify, The Podcast with Soul. Sean G. Peace.